Monday night. We're going to look at the winter storm threat for tomorrow, specifically for Middle Tennessee. So you can see OHX put up their midday. This was 9:50 in the morning. Snow maps. I feel like these totals should increase a little bit, at least the ranges, or at least I see room for them to increase. I think this is the right call. They were probably going off the 0Z and the 6Z data, but I think 12Z and 18Z have trended juicier, and I'll explain why that is in a minute. I think there's the potential for more counties here to be added to the winter storm warning list, but for now, I get the call. I don't think they intentionally chose to use I-40 as a dividing line. I really think that's just based on the data at hand, but it just so happens that, if you're along and north of 40, you're in the pink, you're more likely to get 3-4 inches of snow. South in the purple, 2 to 3 tops, more likely 1 to 2. So, in fact, you can click in here on NOAA weather.gov, and you can look at the wording for yourself. But 3 to 4 inches is going to be common, I think. So we might be looking at a repeat of what we saw last month, just a different ratio, at a wetter ratio. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more QPF involved in this compared to last month. So let's get off of NOAA. Let's go to let's look at some charts here. UK Met, I was already on here. This is not going to be a 10-to-1 snow. It might be lower than that. It's going to be a heavy wet type snow. So that's not necessarily ideal. That's why the 10-to-1 maps are going to be less accumulation than Kuchara. But GFS, we're pretty much out of range of the GFS at this point, but you still could know trends, even though we're 27, 30 hours from impact here. So look at the 10-to-1. The Kuchara is going to be greater. But again, you have to look at thermal profiles and, just the adiabatic rates and the 850 and 700 millibar analysis. And we're not going to, Clarksville, you could see 7 inches, but that's more the ceiling. I think the 10-to-1 kind of gives we're closer to reality. And even this might be too generous. We're now in range of some of the higher res short-term models, like the HRRR, which I think at 18Z, this would have been something that I would valid a couple hours ago. You could see there's kind of this look. That's not so much a bias, but if you divide Tennessee in half, west to northeast, if you're on the northern half of that dividing line, that's where the higher totals are going to be with this system. Southeastern Tennessee, southern middle, it's not looking great for you guys, but you still could get some accumulations for things that look pretty and whatnot. But the 0Z HRRR is about to initialize here in the next hour. So we'll see. 23Z, we're just out of range, but it'll be interesting to see what the 0Z HRRR. Kind of its cousin model, sort of, NAM. It was the weak link for a while, but it's trended juicier. Look at, especially the plateau. I don't know. This might be too much. I don't know. But the NAM is trended juicier, which is obviously good to have that on board. If you look at Kuchara, you're going to get much higher totals. I will say that the placement with the NAM is too far north. I don't think it has a good idea of suppression. Southern Missouri, you're safe. You're in the bullseye of this. You're good. And Western Kentucky, you're sitting right too. But there's the NAM. Let's look at Canadian ensembles. It's fair. Kuchara looks good. A lot of pinks there, but 1.7 in Nashville seems like a reasonable number. I think that's probably what they're doing at Clarksville. Clarksville, I think you're looking at 4 to 5 inches at this point. But each model, every model is wrong. Some are useful, as James Spann likes to say. The icon and we haven't looked at that yet. 18Z, wow, the icon really matches up with the National Weather Service's look. It's almost like that was a heavier part of the blend, or more scaled part of the blend. I'm trying to think what else I want to try and look at. Some of these short-term models over here might help fill in the dots a little bit. But clearly, if you're in the northwest or middle, that's where the greatest totals are going to be. The higher totals are going to gradient out northwest to southeast. All right, pivoting off the accumulation maps for just a little bit, zooming out big picture. and I'm referencing the 18Z Icon, because the Icon and the RGEM, the Canadian ensembles, have been very consistent and very on it. I think they've also had the southerly trend with the main precip, shield, and axis. So they're all the models are drawing more moisture up from the Gulf of America, not the Gulf of Mexico. But essentially, you could see at all these different levels in the atmosphere, the blocking high up in Canada, it's producing above average heights and temperature anomalies north of the border, but it's also responsible for driving cold air down our way, and a very important ingredient for snow, obviously. And you can look at the wind direction. I love these maps off Pivotal Weather. You can see the wind direction at each level, and you can note, this is 30 hours out from noon, so we're getting closer to event impact. You could see even just the cold digging down into Texas. It's going to get very cold there, 30, 40 degree temperature anomalies. You can see the upper level low up here. But if we can go down, let's see if we could figure out where our surface is. Okay, if we go down closer to the surface, yeah, our low is down here near the Gulf, ahead of the transfer. Let's go out a little bit. And you can see how the wind direction and just a few thousand feet above our head, it's going to go more, southwesterly. Sorry, northeasterly to due north. Northeasterly to north, sorry. Let me get my directions correct. As that low passes off, and you can see the low now, it's over here. You kind of could see how these barbs, they spiral. So really the low is doing something like this. And so you can see this represented at different heights, but essentially the low track, it's going to parallel the coast. It's because that big expansive high up here is not allowing the low to cut more sharply. It's keeping it flat, paralleling the coast, and then it transfers off the Carolina coast and starts to trek northeast. So this is good for us. Again, if we go back to our snow maps here, because the flatter the track, the more of a slider track looks, the more Middle Tennessee will get in on the action here. And I need to go back into the regional. I figured it would be good to show you how to navigate Pivotal Weather. We're trying to get southern Middle Tennessee some more love, but really I think now it's looking like the northern 2/3 of Middle Tennessee will get some decent snow. And I do think that there could be some overperforming areas. The further north and west you go, Land Between the Lakes, you're sitting right. Hopkinsville, Cadiz, you're sitting right. Of course, Paducah. In Tennessee, Union City is the place to be. Shout out to my friends over at Discovery Park of America. That might be a sweet spot. North of Bristol on the eastern side, sure. We'll see what happens, though. I really think that this could be a situation where if you go back to the National Weather Service, they're not WPC, although that's important too. Did I get off of that? Let me go back real quick. Weather.gov takes you here. Click on Middle Tennessee and you'll find the latest weather maps. I expect this to update. I think 3 to 4 makes sense. A 2 to 4 for Nashville. I would say 3 to 5 for Waverly, 3 to 5 to Clarksville. I think Lafayette's right, 3 to 4. Columbia, we'll see if we could bump you up to 1 to 3. I'll put you 1 to 3, but I think everything else makes sense right now. So hope you enjoyed this video. I'll share some more thoughts by this time tomorrow, if not sooner. Peace.